Oh yeah, I was talking to someone last night. They were asking about like YouTube advice and stuff. And they were like a smaller content creator. And they were telling me that they had tried asking like other bigger YouTubers and stuff too. And they dropped some names. I was like, wow, those people are really big. And she's like, yeah, they kept giving me advice, but their advice wasn't very good. But they would talk about their advice as if it was really good. And then she told me some of the advices like, oh my God, that is terrible advice. And I was like, I think I get it. I am just like them. I love giving other people unsolicited entertainment advice about this industry, and they don't really take it. And I always wondered why. And then I heard this girl's story about like other people giving her bad advice. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. For one, it's like, who asked in the first place? And two, it's like, well, that's good advice, but doesn't apply to my situation. It's like, that's so true. So true, bestie. I love advice. I love giving unsolicited, unasked for advice that doesn't apply to their current situation. No, that's not true. It's like the thing is, when you give advice about these kinds of things, you have to keep it very general, because if you want to give someone actual advice, you have to like look at their content, because everybody's situation is really different. Like the stuff I do doesn't really work for like everybody else, even in my own industry. You have to give incredibly specific advice to the point where, like, for example, I used to be a World of Warcraft streamer until recently, until last year. The only reason I started streaming Yu-Gi-Oh was because of the World Legacy project. Speaking of it, World Legacy. Look, I love this background. You know, if I thought, hey, I'm gonna do a World Legacy thing, I might as well stream Yu-Gi-Oh. So I branded all of the stream towards Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, even though I mainly just streamed World of Warcraft before. And I was thinking, if I was going to stream World of Warcraft instead for a World of Warcraft project, I would do different things. Completely different. I'll have your advice, but I won't take it. Oh yeah, most of my advice is just like work harder though. Like, I understand that. But even if you do work hard, that doesn't guarantee you're gonna get immediate results. But yeah, it's just like, you know, if I were to give myself advice to do World of Warcraft content, I don't think I would do it the same way I do the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. It's because it's so different. But I'd have to make completely different changes to the types of streams I do anyway. Like, you know, making clips and streaming every day would be a pretty standard thing. Be good? Yes, but what does it mean to be good? Like, what is entertaining? And how do you market yourself? The biggest thing when it comes to these things is, how do you market yourself? Marketing is like the biggest thing ever. I was talking to a dude who works in marketing, and I told him my strats. And he's like, yeah, those are good strategies. But do you want to know why I never give people marketing advice, even though I work in marketing? And I was like, no, tell me. How come you don't give marketing advice even though you work in marketing? He's like, well, because if I give them the advice and it doesn't work, they're going to be like, well, I did what you said, it didn't work. It's like, well, that's the thing with marketing. Sometimes you just have to like try a whole bunch of new things, and not everything has 100% chance to work. And sometimes they don't implement the methods correctly. Sometimes they take your words too literal and they don't make any like adjustments for like their brand of content. Hi, bestie. Oh my goodness gracious, is that Nova Aokami? Wait, then how do you market yourself? How do I market myself? For me, it's easy because I have big followings in other places, and I leverage that by just streaming over there for a little bit and then streaming on Twitch to advertise the Twitch. Because for me, I just wanted a big Twitch account so I could send big fat raids, so that I could use that in order to get connections with people. However, I don't really do that anymore, and the streams still do okay. I want to get back into doing it. I've just been busy because we've been having a shortage on scripts. So I'm really behind on some marketing tactics. Work with some people, while those, yeah, some work, but others don't. The main thing is, like, the main tactic I use nowadays is just the clip channel. And the clip channel's main like gimmick is just showing off gimmick decks and seeing if they work or not, or just like moments like that. Obviously that wouldn't work for everybody, or even most streamers. Like, I wouldn't be able to take that advice from my World of Warcraft channel, for example. I'd have to completely think up a brand new strategy for how to promote that. So when it comes to like marketing yourself, it's more of a like, how do you even go about doing that? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. I think one of the best ways is to post clips. But if the type of stream you're doing doesn't naturally lend itself to clips, then you're kind of ham-boned, because you'd have to change how you do your entire stream around that, which I would advocate to do. But what if you don't want to do that? Well, you don't have to. There are other ways to do it. You still want to post clips. Ideally, you get someone who posts clips for you. That would be the dream. Ideally, you have clippers. You know, like the big Niji, Sanji, and Hololivers, they have people who like, you know, climb over each other to post clips as soon as videos are done. That's the best form of free advertising. That's why in Niji Sanji, some of their live streamers will post like they'll feature their clippers channels on their page, you know, just because it's like, hey, these people are helping me out a lot. they're free clippers. I'll never forget the one time manager told me to do lewd thumbnails thinking it would actually work. I think I did it once and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, the lewd thumbnail thing is something that is such a common noob mistake. There's a lot of things that like newbies do that are just like, you know, you think they work, but they don't really do anything. Like one of them is lewd thumbnails. Another one is like posting at specific times of the day. There's like, oh no, my video's not gonna do well unless I post it exactly at like 2 p.m. prime time when everybody's out and eating lunch. It's like, that doesn't really mean anything. Lewd thumbnails, in theory, work, you know, because like, oh wow, you know, everybody secretly only cares about loot things. And it's like, you know, more than half of the most popular websites on the internet are porn websites. True. However, people are generally out looking for porn when they're on the internet for that. When they're on YouTube looking for Yu-Gi-Oh content, that's not usually what they have on their mind. I mean, they could, you know, lots of Yu-Gi-Oh players are Coomers, but that's not like, they're not intertwined. They usually just are looking for something specific, or like their interests are not like, you know, in that mindset. So it's just like a difference of expectations and branding, where having nothing but like loot content for this kind of sphere just doesn't really work out that well, but it can work out in specific situations. The time thing's my manager, but I don't think he understands the time thing. Yeah, that's just another like, a very common noob mistake. If I see someone who does those things, I just think, hey, they're new to this. Or if they're not new to this and they tell other people to do that as advice, I think, hey, they don't know what they're talking about. The time you post your video doesn't matter. What does matter is posting at the same time. So like you could just pick, I want to post my videos at 5 a.m. That's fine. People will still watch them as long as all of your videos are posted at 5 a.m. Because then they'll like know that's when you usually upload videos, and they'll develop a habit of watching it at 5 a.m. I mean, obviously they're not going to watch it at 5 a.m. They'll watch it when they wake up or something.
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
But they'll be like, ooh, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to have my breakfast, and I know there's going to be a DuelLogs video available because he uploads at 5 a.m. while I'm asleep. But if you just post at random times, that's what's bad. Consistency, exactly. And when it comes to loot thumbnails, I know it seems like that would work well, but it doesn't for a lot of types of content. Generally, there is better ways to clickbait than doing loot thumbnails. And a lot of the times they don't really do anything. It is more effective to just have like a big blown up image of whatever the subject matter of the video is with like a big arrow pointing at it than it is to have a picture of like a revealing outfit with like a female, or a, wait, female is a bad word, right? Girl, a not young lady, a woman. I forget. Someone told me you're not allowed to say female because it's like objectifying, and I was like, okay, I'll try not to say female. But the thing is, if loot thumbnails did work, if that was the secret to just getting views on your videos, then I would 100% do it too. I would have that like in every single video I do, but it doesn't. That's why I don't. I do what works. You kind of have to like put your pride aside for a lot of these things and just do whatever works, and that doesn't work. That's why I don't do it. That's why a lot of people don't do it, because it's just not like the meta. There are better ways to clickbait than that. It's not a dragon, it's just kind of weird. Yeah, it's just kind of weird for like the kind of a content I do. However, if your type of content was Coomer bait, where your entire brand was just like, here's like top 10 sexiest moments in anime, then having a loot thumbnail would make sense, because it's selling the type of video you're doing.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, there is a meta for clickbaiting. There are some YouTubers who are very adamant about not clickbaiting or having attractive titles because they're like, you know, counterculture. And usually they don't do well, so you don't see them. Occasionally you will see one of those people who do well, and it's more of a fact that they do well in spite of the fact that they're not clickbaiting. It's kind of like playing Yu-Gi-Oh without hand traps or board breakers. It's possible to get lucky and just drop perfect hands all the time, but generally you don't want to count on getting lucky, and you want to build for consistency. We've evolved past loot thumbnails, clickbaits, it ain't 2010 anymore. No, I wouldn't say that. It's more like the type of content you do. There are types of content where loot thumbnails would absolutely give you more attention than normal ones. It's just the type of content I do. A loot thumbnail wouldn't work. Otherwise, I would use it too. I'm not saying as like, you know, oh man, I'm morally outstanding compared to everyone else. I would never stoop so low. It's like, hell yeah, I would roll around in the mud if that's what it took. You know how hard it is to make it in this industry? You don't have the luxury to do whatever you want. I think in early YouTube, that was an effective tactic. However, those tactics change over time. The reason I don't release publicly my videos on how to make thumbnails or titles is because if I did, then people would copy what I said verbatim, which means everybody else would use it. And if everybody else is doing it, then it means nothing. And you have to change tactics again. Because the way you stand out is by being different. And you can't stand out, everybody's doing the same thing. So because everybody was doing the boobs in the thumbnail thing, people just learned to ignore it for like normal types of content. In the same way that if I released publicly my videos on how to do titles and thumbnails in like my style and people started copying it, then I'd have to change what I do because everybody else would be doing it and it'd be the standard and I no longer stand out. So it's like the meta changes over time. So like if you watch videos about early YouTubers and grew in fame, you know, sometimes the people will be like, wow, this YouTuber grew because they use their attractive girlfriend in the thumbnails and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that used to work back in the day, but nowadays that's not the meta anymore. I've seen the DuelLogs thumbnail video, can confirm it's super helpful. Yeah, my thumbnail video is very good. However, like it's hard to apply the results to everything because it's basically like just be creative. It's like, thanks, that's super helpful. Like most of the time I just like try random things and I see if they work, and sometimes, most of the time I should say, they fail. It's like, well, that kind of thumbnail doesn't work, time to try something completely different. Funny thing is, a lot of the times my most successful thumbnails are ones that are super simple and I don't even think looked very good at first, and I was like, oh, I don't know why this one performs super well, and I have to like I try it again and it works well again, because sometimes a thumbnail, you can change a thumbnail in a video and it will just start performing better. Like, the thumbnail is just such a good advertisement for your video. Logs is Mr. Beast of YouTube. What I love about Mr. Beast is that all he does is metagame YouTube content and nothing else. Like, he like sleeps in his studio where they shoot videos and stuff because he doesn't need to go home, because he just lives and breathes YouTube. And I was like, this guy gets it. He understands. This is why he's successful, because all he does is YouTube stuff and he invests all of his money into it and it's working, and his target audience is a general audience. Mr. Beast is the TheDuelLogs lessons taken to the extreme. Yeah, exactly. He's like more extreme than I am, which is something to admire and aim towards. Even if I don't watch his videos because I don't really like what he makes. It's more like I respect him as a content creator, but I don't really care for the content he makes. It's just not my thing. So Mr. Beast is your idol? I don't have an idol. I don't really look up to anyone. I know I just said I do, but I don't. I do my own thing. It's more like what he does is admirable, but I personally don't idolize him or anything, or copy anything he does, because I think I know better. However, you know, if he has a good tip, and I think it's a good tip, I'll listen to it. I saw some of his stuff because he did entertainment with like gun tubers. They have gun tubers? And that's be so hard to be a gun tuber. So I want to make a Cynet Storm deck. I feel like copying isn't what makes you grow, it's innovating. Yep, 100%. That's another thing I see. A lot of people who are new to YouTube or streaming, they'll just wholesale copy what someone more successful did without trying their own thing. And there's nothing wrong with copying ideas and parts of stuff, because there's no such thing as original art. Everything is copied. But if you're copying everything that one person does, that's weird and usually doesn't work. I saw some like stories on Twitter about some people who would literally copy someone's design. They would copy what they did on stream. They'd copy what games they play. They would copy like which people they talk to. And I was like, that is going way too far, my dudes. Oh yeah, but there's some people who like copy everything about other streamers and sometimes other YouTubers. I've had copycats before. I remember one time there was this guy who would straight up just steal my Yu-Gi-Oh videos. He pretended to be me. His channel was called TheDuelLogs, or just DuelLog something. He had the same profile image. He would just re-upload my videos, my older videos, and then people would watch them. He'd get a whole bunch of views, and he'd comment and pretend that he made them. They'd be like, oh my god, can you do this deck next? This is back when I was a deck replayer. And he'd be like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And it's like, no, you can't. You steal my videos. There's no way you can take any of their advice. Oh yeah, there's also somebody that for my World of Warcraft account too. He would steal my videos, upload them to his account, pretend to be me in the comments, and they'd be like, oh my god, you know, his videos would get a whole bunch of views because he would just steal my most successful ones. Be like, oh my god, this video's so good. And he'd be like, Mike, thank you, I'm trying my best out here. And I'm just like, why? It's funny because there's YouTubers just copy the biggest channels at the moment, and while some are decent success, they don't retain a lot of the same viewers. Yeah, that also happens too. One day we famous enough for someone to impersonate me? Yeah, you will. I remember there used to be, so I remember one time, the reason people don't copy nowadays as much is because YouTube is a lot better at being able to like delete completely re-uploaded videos, but also because the types of videos I make require a lot of effort, and most people who get into YouTube at first are very lazy and they can't copy the amount of editing that goes into my videos. Like, I know my videos don't seem like they're super edited, but they take a really long time to put together, like a surprising amount of time for like how simple the edits are. And that's not really copyable because it's just too much work. At that point, just do your own. However, there are some types of content that is very easy to copy, i.e. progression series, deck profiles, replays. So I remember one time there was this big prominent Yu-Gi-Oh YouTuber, and he's like, hey guys, I don't really see enough smaller YouTuber content. Can you guys, in the reply to this Twitter thread, give me some of your channels so I can check you out? And I was like, ooh, I want to see this, because back in the day, I used to every week look for brand new World of Warcraft channels. And then I found some really good people through that, and I actually like hired some of them to work for me. I was like, I want to see the Yu-Gi-Oh content too. I've never seen this before. So I looked through the thread. I looked through every single account that was shown in this Twitter thread for like new and upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers. And without exception, they were all terrible. Like the laziest type of content. imaginable, with obviously just bad editing because they're new to it. You know, it's really hard to have good editing when you're brand new to it. It's a lot easier to like watch a good video than it is to make a good video. It's a lot easier to critique a video than to make something decent. So some of these videos just be dudes in a dimly lit room talking about cards to a camera with no editing. Be like,
Hey guys, I'm gonna go over my Odd Eyes deck. So I play one copy of this. Most people play 2 copies. I play 1. It just works for me. I play 2 copies of Signet Storm. Most people play 3. I play 2. It works for me. Before I get into the video, make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm growing. I want to make this my dream. So anyways, I play 3 copies of Terraforming. I know I can only play 1, but I play 3 of them.
That's another like tall tale sign of someone who's new to it. If you watch someone who asked you to like, favorite, or subscribe within the first 30 seconds of a video, it means they're new to YouTube and someone told them that that's how you do it. They watched a YouTuber advice video and they told them like, favorite, subscribe within the first 30 seconds of the video. And the reason they say that is because that's when your highest viewers are. You have the most amount of viewers within the first 30 seconds. So, you know, common knowledge would say, of course you want to ask them within the first 30 seconds because that's when the most of your viewers are there. However, what you're asking them to do is to stay around for future content. And within the first 30 seconds of the video, all you've done is shown your annoying Minecraft intro and asked them to subscribe. You haven't given them of any value. There's no reason for them to want to take your call of action. Like, that's the huge dichotomy of having your largest amount of people actually watching there and not giving them of anything of value to want them to stay around. And if anything, you're ruining your video by just having all this stupid shit at the beginning when you should just get straight to the point as soon as possible. It's pretty low effort to make those kinds of vids. Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I was talking about with, so it was deck profiles or their own progression series where these people would be like,
Hey guys, it's me and my 4 friends. Let me explain all their Twitter handles and stuff. Like over here, he's Stinky Pete. He's crazy. We all know it's Stinky Pete. And this guy over here, he only plays penguins. Classic Doug. He's like, okay, so we're gonna introduce all of our friends for the first 5 minutes of the video. Then we're gonna sit around in a Discord call and talk for 15 minutes. Then we'll start opening packs for 30 minutes, unedited. And then we'll get to our first duel. Isn't this exciting, dudes?
It's like, no, I don't know who you are. Like, you haven't earned my right to sit around and watch all of this, and it's all completely unedited, mind you. Or they do edit it, but they leave a lot of things that they could cut in because they don't know how to like properly have flow. And then the other thing they would do was just replay videos of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro with no commentary, which is what I used to do, but at the very least, I'd have commentary at the beginning of the video to explain the deck. Very bad commentary if I go back and watch my old videos, like, holy, my commentating was garbage. I don't know how I had a following. I don't know how I had fans. I don't know how I had people copying what I did, but they would have like replay videos, 10-minute testings. I did replay videos. That was what I did. And it was easy, to actually make the videos. The actual deck building stuff was a pain in the ass. And I had to stop because it was too stressful. I saw my favorite YouTuber either don't call to action, ask for it at the end, or make a joke line, like, I can't believe how ugly people haven't liked the video yet. Yeah, the best way to do it is at the end of the video. Like, a call to action is not bad. Inherently, asking someone to do something is how you get them to do it. But, for the most part, you don't need to do it if your content's good. And if you do it, you want to do it at the end of the video. After you've like earned it. You've shown them, hey, if you like what you've seen, subscribe so you can watch more of it, idiot. And people will be like, okay, sure, that was good. I'll subscribe. But just don't do it at the beginning of the video before they've ever watched it. Because you have to remember everybody's video is like the first video they've ever seen of your channel. And a lot of people, it's another new mistake they make is they assume people have watched their other videos. And so like the one they're making now is like, hey, this is the 10th video I've made. They probably watched the other 9 already. So, I can ask them at the beginning, just to remind them. It's like, no, every video you make is someone's first video they've ever seen of your channel. So you have to like make them with that in mind. Yeah, so anyways, I looked through like almost all 100 channels that were submitted and they were all bad. Not a single one was good. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Because in the World of Warcraft scene, when I used to look at new channels, there were like channels that actually put effort into their content. There were like, I wasn't expecting all of the channels to be bad because in the World of Warcraft scene, I saw so many like brand new channels who were really good. Like I've seen some of them where like the content they put out was like top tier, really amazing. It just wasn't marketable. And they just like stagnated at like, 1,000 subs. The WoW content creators, there were also just like low effort channels too. But I saw so many like really high quality small channels that I was like disillusioned that I thought Yu-Gi-Oh would be the same. I was like, ooh, I wonder if there's gonna be like another like, Rada in here, another diamond in the rough. And there wasn't. It was exclusively just bad videos. And I was like, holy crap. Is the Yu-Gi-Oh side of YouTube just inherently lazier than the World of Warcraft side? The answer to that question is kind of. The World of Warcraft side of YouTube is, I think it's just like nutso. Like they go too high. They go too hard. I remember back when Blizzard had the controversy and a lot of the World of Warcraft YouTubers moved over to Final Fantasy 14. The Final Fantasy community said the best thing that's ever happened to our community was the World of Warcraft content creators coming over to us because now we had good videos to watch. And I was like, yep, I can totally see that. Because if you go on YouTube and you want to look up a guide on how to do anything, there's like, hey, you know, there's like 40 different classes in the game and specs. I want to know how to play this incredibly gimmick version of like spec number 36, you know, and you type that in and there's like 10 different guide videos and like half of them are super well edited. And you're like, holy shit, this is an incredibly well researched, well edited guide video about this incredibly niche subject that has no right to have a video made this well about it. You don't find that in Yu-Gi-Oh! You do find people who pet deck decks and they make a whole bunch of videos about it, but like the quality of the videos are usually not very good, but the information is. Like, I love those videos. The most amount of Yu-Gi-Oh! Content I watch is pet deckers. There's like, you know, if I want to watch how to play Medolces, I'll watch Medolce. No, I think there's someone who's called like, oh, I don't remember. I'll just say like Medolce King 17. All he does is Medolce deck profiles because he's been playing the deck for like 10 years. He goes, hey guys, here's my 500th video on Medolces. It's like, hell yeah, give me that information. You are experienced in this one thing, and I want to learn how to play this deck because of you. It's like, I'm not gonna watch a video from a popular YouTuber making a Medolce video. I'm gonna watch Medolce King 46 make his video. Like, I am glad that pet deckers exist. I love pet decker channels. But people, whatchamacallit, the World of Warcraft scene is just like on a different level. There are so many ridiculously good, small World of Warcraft channels. So like when I went over to the World of Warcraft's, no, what was I talking about? The Yu-Gi-Oh side. And I started making the top 10 videos over here. All I did was copy how I did it on the WoW channel, and I just dialed back my editing a little bit. Because I made one top 10 video for the Yu-Gi-Oh channel in the same way I did in the World of Warcraft side, and it didn't perform very well. And I over-edited it, and I was like, okay, let me dial back the editing a little bit and then choose a better idea. And then it performed a lot better, and that's how we do the videos now. And that's all I did was I just like copied what I did on my WoW channel. And I just applied it to YouTube and it worked. You know, just clickbait like crazy. My channel's videos are inherently clickbait. They're built from clickbait from the ground up. I don't have to like comb through my clips for clickbait because my videos are created with clickbait in mind at the beginning.
Hot chick heaven